Alright folks, so here we are on the download page for MAMP. If you haven't already done so, I strongly suggest jumping on and just doing a search for download MAMP. The first page that comes up should be mamp.info, which is the official site, and you just hit the green download button either there or a little further down the page, the big one. I've already done that just to save time, so I'm going to close this, and you'll see that in my downloads I have this MAMP program. At the time of creation of this video, 5.06 is the latest version, so if yours is a little bit later than that, that's perfectly fine. It should operate in the same way. So I've double clicked the MAMP out of the downloads folder, and it needs to be extracted then out onto disk, so we'll just wait for that to do that. Yes, we would like to set up MAMP. Now we don't want to pay hundreds of dollars, so we're going to turn off MAMP Pro. We just want the MAMP Basic. And we don't need to install Apple Bonjour because we're not going to be using this MAMP viewer, which is what you'd use on a phone. So I'm going to go next. I'm going to accept the agreement. Whoop, there it is. Now it wants to install the C:/MAMP, so that's in the root of C drive. We're going to let it do that. If you try and install it somewhere else, and if that somewhere else has a space in it, you're going to break all the servers. They won't work. Not without quite a bit of fixing up. So my strong suggestion is to keep it as C:/MAMP, and that way we'll always know where to find it. Next thing it's asking you to do is to put a shortcut in the start menu. Yes, we do want that. And we probably do want to create a desktop icon. So we'll just step through that till we get to this installed phase. And you get to watch the green bar climb across the screen. I might speed this up and we'll see you on the other side. And we've got a complete MAMP setup. So we're going to hit finish to complete the job. Now you'll notice that you've got MAMP here on your desktop because we asked it to. Of course, when you run that, you could also pin it here to your taskbar down the bottom. But I'm just going to run MAMP for now. Now I like to call this the control center because it comes up with a little window with all of our settings and everything in it. I'm just going to close this window. And we're still waiting for MAMP to come up. There we go. Now, by default, it should turn on the Apache server and the MySQL server. We don't have cloud turned on. There's Apache come up. And MySQL is up. Now, if they come up and they are orange, we might have to do a little bit of a fiddle with your setup. It might mean that you have other software on there, particularly things like Discord, which steal the ports from the standard ports for web and database access. So we might have to do a little bit of a change on your setup if these don't come up as green lights. The next thing to do will be to hit the Open Web Start page, and it'll open your favorite browser. And now your browser is actually talking to, you can see the downloads page is still there, but the browser is now talking to your local host, which is your own computer. So this web page has been served from your version of Apache. Now there's a couple of things that might happen here, particularly if you are running things like Discord. You can see that mine just says localhost/MAMP, which is standard, but you might have localhost : and then a number, usually an 8-digit number, 4-digit number I should say, and it's usually something like 8888. That's where I got the 8 from. So if you do have that, you just have to keep in mind that your server is running on a different port to the standard ports for web access. And that just means every time you type in, or I type in localhost and you want to do the same thing, you have to type in localhost : 8888 as the server name. But I'm all good there. Just give you a quick little rundown here. We'll look at this in more detail later. Under the tools, the other thing we're going to be using is this phpMyAdmin quite a bit. When you first log on to that, it should log you in automatically. And this is where we're going to manage our databases. A little later on, particularly if you head through to year 11 and 12 digital solutions, we'll show you how to do that on the command line. It's faster and it's easier, in my opinion. This tends to provide too much information on a page and can be a little bit confusing to use. But we'll create our database in here later on, and then we'll make web pages. Now, the other thing I like to do before we go, I'll just close all that, don't know why I closed them all and then hit the X. The other thing we like to do is I like to put, let's go to File Explorer. Come on, Windows. There we go, File Explorer. Now, if I go down to this PC on the side here and I open up my C drive, you can see I've now got a folder called MAMP. Now, inside that folder is this htdocs. These are all the folders required for the Apache server, the PHP, MySQL. There's a couple of other things in there as well. But this htdocs is where we have to create our web pages for them to be served through Apache. So I'm going to right click on that. Now, the option these days isn't actually just here, it's under Show More Options. So I'm going to do that. And I want to send it to the desktop, create a shortcut on the desktop. From there I can close this, and now I have my htdocs. I don't like it being called shortcut, so I'm going to rename it to just htdocs. And all of the web pages, certainly this tutorial and your project for this term, are going to be done inside this folder. So if I double click that, those are the pages that we see when we go to that web start. And we'll just make a folder for each website we want to create here in htdocs, and that will automatically be served out through our Apache server. That's it for installing MAMP on a Windows machine. Next step would be to start actually creating our address book, which is going to be the target, the subject of our tutorial. Thanks.